upper90studios.com.
Fantasy Premier League tips and cheats. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I'm going to reveal the FPL Toolkit, which contains 3 killer resources to start the season. First is the Player Guide, which is a player ranking system that lets you quickly identify top picks or high-risk players to avoid, all sorted by price and position. Second, I'll give you my preseason takeaways to help you build an early lead. And third, I'm going to show you screenshots of complete 15-man squads sorted by formation. All the top FPL tips to give you a competitive advantage. First, I want to say thank you for the last video. 30,000 views, 3,000 subscribers. Thank you for all the likes, for subscribing. I didn't expect it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Some of you may know me from the fantasy blog at upper90studios.com. My name's Bruno Batista. I've been playing Fantasy Premier League since 2007. I've been fortunate to have built a record of consistent finishes in the top 1% to 2% for over a decade. This season, I put together an FPL toolkit with basic to advanced strategies that show you how to play the game with examples to get started. I'm still making some final adjustments to it, but before the season begins, I'm going to make the FPL Toolkit available for download with screenshots of all my favorite 15-man squads, plus the latest player guide with top picks by price range, high-risk players to avoid, and much more. If you want to know exactly when the FPL Toolkit is going to be ready for download, subscribe to our email list on our website at upper90studios.com. Click the Fantasy tab at the top and you'll see the sign-up box. On this video, I'm going to reveal what's inside the FPL Toolkit and show you how it works. So let's begin with the player guide. The player guide is a visual representation of my player selection process. The lightning? It is. It's a big thunderstorm outside. So let's begin with the player guide. The player guide is a visual representation of my player selection process. It's a color-coded system that organizes players into specific categories, from top picks to injury-prone, high-risk players to avoid. The easiest way to understand it is to see it in action. So here it is now. First, we open up the FPL Toolkit. Second, click Player Guide. And third, choose a position. That's it. Here you can find the players by price, from budget, mid-priced to premium. They're also sorted by ownership percentage, meaning they're the most selected players. For example, Conte is selected by 16% of all teams. Now the legend at the bottom tells us what each color represents. It's my assessment of the player, which category he falls into. So green are my top picks, blue are the players on my watch list, orange are players who are injury prone, red are players who tend to pick up red cards, yellow cards, and those give you negative points. Yellow are the players who are arriving late from the World Cup, gray are players with low points potential, and white are players who are not in my radar at this moment. So let's take a closer look. If we look at Conte, who I'm really grateful to have met in person. He's an incredible player, so important for his team, but all that hard work he does for Chelsea isn't rewarded in the FPL point scoring system. This happens every year. 16% of all managers have Conte in their team, the highest of any budget midfielder, but I have him grayed out because his playing style doesn't translate into FPL points. If we keep going thinking of yellow and red cards, Jonjo Shelvey comes to mind. Fernandinho, again, such high ownership, he's a high-risk player to avoid. The 6.0 to 6.5 million price range is one of my favorites this season. So many exciting options. So we have to narrow them down. You can see Richarlison, Milivojevic, who is in a lot of my drafts, a few newcomers. We also have Schürrle, who's back in England. Then you have Pedro, all the way at the bottom. He has low ownership. That's one to keep an eye on. The next column, we can see a few injury-prone players in orange. Ramsey, Antonio, Shaqiri has burned me a few times. These players can sometimes work as a short-term gamble. Then all the way on the far right, we have the premium mids with some of my top picks. And I even added a note on Son, who's going to miss the start of the season with Spurs because he's heading off to the Asian Games with South Korea. A couple of quick notes on the player guide. First is that it has to be updated frequently because I may change my mind on some of these players throughout the season. The second one, what the player guide doesn't show you is player rotation combos. It's still a work in progress. I still have some things to work out. For example, even though Fabianski doesn't have a high points potential at the start of the season because of fixtures, he can still be a smart selection when combined with another goalkeeper in a rotation system. For example, if you rotate Fabianski and Foster, you can end up having a starting goalkeeper playing at home for the first 6 game weeks. And I'm going to cover player rotation in a video coming soon. In the meantime, we have a free fixture difficulty cheat sheet available only to our email subscribers. Go to upper90studios.com, click the fantasy tab at the top, and you'll see the sign up box. You've seen the player guide. Now we can take a look at key takeaways from preseason to help you build an early lead. I'm going to show you some of them here, but if you want them all, plus the player guide and 15-man squads, be sure to grab the FPL Toolkit, which will be ready to download on our website very soon. For the first preseason takeaway, we're going to load up the player guide and take a closer look at Pedro. Just 2% ownership, but he's been in excellent form this preseason. He has all the qualities to become a high-scoring FPL player this season. He's attack-minded, plays in a high position near the box, he creates chances, and of course he scores goals, as he's shown in preseason. The concern with Pedro has always been whether he's a guaranteed starter, because he can drop down the pecking order behind Hazard and Willian. But Hazard and Willian are rumored to be leaving Chelsea in the summer transfer window. Both are arriving late after the World Cup, which means Pedro should be okay to start the first few games. This could be an opportunity to select one of the few mid-priced midfielders who plays for a top team, as you can see on the player guide. Yes, Fred plays for United and has potential at $6 million, but I want to watch him play first. Once all the regulars are back, then I can make an informed decision. On the last video, I had Firmino as one of the first names on my team sheet. That was before watching Liverpool. Mane and Salah have looked unstoppable this preseason. Firmino, he had an extended break after the World Cup with Brazil, so he may not be as up to speed in terms of fitness as Mane and Salah. Also, Mane took 2 penalties with Salah on the pitch, scoring both. So if you're brave enough to go without Salah this season, that's a factor to consider. For these reasons, I've been selecting Mane instead of Firmino in many of my recent drafts. With that information, let's take a look at some of my favorite 15-man squads. I have more screenshots of all my favorite 15-man squads, plus the latest player guide on the FPL Toolkit. If you want to be one of the first to download it, subscribe to our email list on the website at upper90studios.com. Click the fantasy tab at the top and you'll see the sign-up box. You've seen the player guide, my preseason takeaways, and 15-man squads. I hope the FPL Toolkit gives you a winning start this season. U90 Mini League. Good at FPL? Join U90 Mini League for a chance to win. Don't forget to subscribe to our email list and get your free fixture difficulty cheat sheet. Click the Fantasy Premier League tab at upper90studios.com. If you're on a computer, it's at the top right of the page. If you're on a phone, it's at the bottom. See you soon.